Let's dive into some Planet Zero stuff. The Dead Don't Die video. I was watching it, and before I kind of read up on it, I was like, "Man, what old church is this?" And then I read that it's an old pumping station in London.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
man, that just shows you like how cool old architecture was. And then because I thought it was some fancy old church, and it's just a pumping station.
No, man. What's even more intriguing about it? I'm actually doing this Friday at noon. I'm doing a an Instagram live on the Shinedown Instagram with the director Lewis Cater, who directed Dead Don't Die. Also directed A Symptom of Being Human, the new video that's going to be coming out this month in February. But it was so funny. All of the jokes that were being made that day, where people were like walking around going, "Your video is literally going to be the shit." And
Right.
for people, yeah, for people that didn't realize, there was also like a museum that was next door to it that was literally all about like the basically the trajectory of sewage and
Yeah.
like modern day plumbing and toiletry, and it was actually fascinating.
Oh yeah,
You
honestly, that
know,
stuff is fascinating. It's crazy how you can fall down the rabbit hole of like the how the sewage system helped create civilizations and shit
oh,
like that.
dude,
It's
it's
crazy.
and it was wild too because they were going all the way back to like the. I mean, this is going to sound, kind of, ooh to some people, but the fact of the matter is, like, I mean, it completely transformed civilization. I
Yeah.
mean, they had stuff in this museum from like what they would use in the beginning before they had like toilet paper, like all the different things that they would use, like they would use like bird nesting and
Oh
all this different. Dude, is wild. We've come a long way. Let's just put it that way. Let's just put it that way. But
yeah.
no, like we walk in and they had done so much research on the location because the director had a very specific he had a specific look that he was going for, and this place had been gutted.
Yeah.
It had been gutted, but all the mechanism and the machinery and the architecture that was inside it had been left pristine.
Yeah.
So like walking around there was crazy.
So like where you guys filmed the video at one point, had actual shit running through it. Things
Yeah,
like that, man. That's
totally.
crazy. Yeah. How did they come to you with like a scouting location report? Like, Brent, we got this location. Just hear me
Mm-hmm.
out.
Yeah. I think it adds to it even more because, it was literally built around. I came to Lewis with the idea of I wanted the video to look like an action movie. I wanted it to have like this very kind of John Wick kind of homage, which there's a lot of like homage to John Wick in it.
Mhm.
And but also too, coming off of the sci-fi element earlier in the year, I think that a lot of people appreciated that, but I also think that some of the sci-fi went over people's heads. And so when you dive into this album and how this album was born and where it came from, it was born inside of a pandemic, a global pandemic, but it was also utilizing the elements of seeing into the future and where are we going to be 3 years from now? Where are we going to
Right.
be 10 years from now? So there's a tremendous amount of human spirit inside of this record. But what Dead Don't Die represented was it was one of the last songs that was brought to the table in the studio. And it was written by Zach. Zach had this music, he had this piece of music, and he had the lyric already kind of laid out, and he had done a demo of it. And he showed it to me and Eric and Barry towards the back half of the writing process. And we were all kind of looking at each other going, why did you wait so long to show us this? And he
Right.
goes, I honestly didn't know if you guys would dig it. I honestly didn't know if the tempo was going to be right, if we were going to need more something in this vein, if we were going to need less of this tempo. And I think we were at a certain stage where he was just like, well, if I'm going to show it to him, I need to show it to him now. And I fell in love with the demo that he had. And really, our goal was to go in, myself and Eric, specifically Eric, because Eric has produced, engineered, and mixed the last two albums in their entirety. He's the producer and the engineer and the mixer on Attention, Attention, and he's the producer and the engineer and the mixer on Planet Zero, along with Doug McKean on both of them. But Yeah, he brought it to us, and we tried to stay true to the demo, just kind of bring it up to the level it needed to be at. I added the spoken word part in the song, kind of through stream of consciousness. We were just in there, and the breaks were going on in that song, and I just was like, we need something in here. And when I was doing the vocal on the song, I kind of thought like if I had a slogan or something like in a film or something that, where I almost wanted people to think that it was a soundbite from something else, which is so funny because everyone thinks it's a soundbite from a movie or something.
Right.
And they're like, what movie is this from? But it's actually me. So that was a cool part of it. But, also too, just finding out lyrically that he wrote the song about me was kind of hit me pretty hard. I was very respectful and humbled by it. But yeah, going back to the video, sorry, I kind of went off on another road
No, it's
there.
all good.
But yeah, the video needed to have we wanted to make an action movie. And I think that's exactly what we did.